I've read a lot of self-help books. Some of them great, some of them not so much. Some I couldn't get through the first paragraph, and others had me hanging on to every last word. Today I want to talk about those few books that really made a difference. These are 9 self-help books that changed my life. This video is brought to you by Squarespace, more on them later. All right, so I intentionally wanted to pick a range of books that have helped me with many different areas in my life. So we're gonna be talking about business, money, health, sex. That's right, we're going there. But first, I wanna start off with a lighter topic, death. No Death, No Fear by Thich Nhat Hanh. No Death, No Fear is a wake-up call to everyone who's been letting anxieties, fears, and worries control their life. In the book, Thich Nhat Hanh explores death, impermanence, and our never-ending search for happiness through the lens of his Buddhist teachings. In the book, he writes, "There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way." So I read this book in my final year of college, and it was really just an exciting period of my life. I had all of these hopes and dreams for what my life could become. And yet at the same time, I couldn't help but feel absolutely terrified about the future. What if I never get a job? What if I couldn't pay the bills? What if I'm in debt until my 40s or 50s? Thich Nhat Hanh's writing helped me to see that happiness and contentment couldn't be found on the other side of these questions. Instead, they needed to be found in the present moment by freeing myself of regret, fear, anxiety, and doubt. The Definitive Book of Body Language by Barbara and Alan Pease. As Barbara and Alan Pease explain it in the book, body language is an outward reflection of a person's emotional condition. Your date might be patting your back during a hug because they're uncomfortable. Your client's feet might be turned towards the door because they're hoping to get out of a conversation. Your partner might have their arms crossed because they're pissed at you. But it's not as simple as just reading one gesture and jumping to a conclusion about what someone's feeling. As the authors explained, body language is like any other language. It's only when you put a word into a sentence with other words that you can fully understand its meaning. So maybe your partner isn't actually pissed at you and she's just cold because she left her jacket at home. On second thought, she's probably pissed at you. In the weeks after reading this book, I couldn't help but be hyper aware of my own body language. When I was nervous, I'd bite my nails. When I was frustrated, I'd pace back and forth. When I was angry, I'd furrow my eyebrows. I may have been trying to hide my emotions, but it turned out that I was saying a lot without saying anything at all. From high stakes pitches to first dates, the things that I've learned about body language have made a huge difference in my life. She Comes First by Ian Kerner. Yes, I read books about how to sex, and no, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think the bigger problem is that most guys are too proud or too full of themselves to think they might actually need a little bit of guidance when it comes to the bedroom. And let me tell you, it's harder than it looks.
That's what she said.
The advice in the title is definitely something you should remember for life. She comes first. But apart from those 3 very helpful words, the book also questions the idea that sex requires intercourse. Apparently it doesn't. And when you focus on other areas, mainly oral sex, you can have a deeper, more intimate relationship with your partner. What do you think of me reading books about how to have better sex?
Oh, I would highly recommend.
Yeah.
I think more guys should be reading books about better sex. I think it's, look how coy you are. You're like so proud of yourself.
I think probably one of the most important things that we've done early on when it came to our sex life is open communication.
I was gonna say the same. But I think you only felt good about doing that because you had read books. So you you were coming in from an informed stance that was like, I want to learn about this. Let's talk about it. Like, how did that feel for you? Is that, because at the end of the day, we all have different preferences. So to assume that everyone likes the same thing is just like dead wrong.
Yeah.
That struck me as you being very emotionally mature.
And by the way, if you're looking to further your studies about this topic, then you may be interested in the book Slow Sex by Nicole Daedone. It's another great book that helps us to rewire and relearn many of the unhealthy views and habits we have with sex, as well as providing a slower approach that's often much more satisfying for all parties involved. Okay, moving along. The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Ryan Holiday is somebody that I deeply admire for his ability to turn ancient wisdom into tangible teachings for modern life. The Obstacle is the Way is a masterclass in Stoicism, the school of thought that's about cultivating virtue, mastery, and self-control to live a better life. The central theme of this book is that obstacles in life are inevitable. You'll graduate with an insane amount of student debt, you'll get turned down for your dream job, you'll face literally hundreds of rejections when you start dating. All three of these things, by the way, happened to me. But when you embrace these obstacles and you realize that they're unavoidable, you can start to develop a healthier relationship with the problems that you face in your life. Ryan writes, "The obstacle in the path becomes the path. Never forget, within every obstacle is an opportunity to improve our condition." This book will completely change the way you think about personal and professional challenges, and it might even get you to stop whining so much. All of us will thank you for it. Hope and Help for Your Nerves by Dr. Claire Weeks. So I actually first learned about this book from a comment on one of my videos. I'd published a video about my struggles with anxiety a few years ago, and as I was reading through the comments, which were amazing and just so supportive, I stumbled across somebody recommending this book from Dr. Claire Weeks. I bought the book, I read it, and it had a significant impact on my ability to cope with my anxieties. In the book, Claire explores how you can use gentle exposure therapy to build your tolerance for stressful situations. She writes, "Strength is not born from strength. Strength can only be born from weakness. So be glad of your weaknesses now. They are the beginnings of your strength." The biggest takeaway that I got from the book was to learn how to float through my anxieties. Rather than fighting the waves of your emotions, this approach is really all about letting the anxiety wash over you until it passes. This book is an empowering, hope-filled read for anyone who struggles with or is supporting a loved one through anxiety. If that's you, you should definitely add it to your reading list.
Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins.
I feel like with a title like that, you just need to really bring the energy, you know? Maybe not. Tony Robbins. His book, Awaken the Giant Within, was one of the first self-help books that I ever read when I was living in my parents' basement just after college. Even though the book was a bit corny and I felt a little bit embarrassed to read it, it provided me with so many useful tools and insights as I was trying my best to become an adult and a professional filmmaker. One of the key things I still remember from the book is the power of decisions. You must know that in any moment, a decision you make can change the course of your life forever. So many of us get paralyzed by choice. We put off important decisions because we don't want to make the wrong one. But we can only get better at decisions by making lots of them. And one of the best decisions that I ever made was to forget about what everyone else would think of me and read corny self-help books that might change my life. Another great decision that I made nearly 8 years ago was to build my very first website with Squarespace. They also happen to be my sponsor for this week's video. So I started using Squarespace nearly a decade ago, and I haven't switched because they've hands down got the best website building tools on the internet. When I built my first website, I went to Squarespace and purchased the domain mattdiavella.com. I'm proud to say that I beat the other 8 Matt Diavellas in the world to the punch. Sorry guys. After that, I scrolled through some of their beautiful templates and found one that worked best for me. Then things got fun. I added my brand colors and my logo, which was really just my name. I linked to all my social accounts. And since I wanted to use my website to build a deeper connection with my audience, I added a form so people could sign up for my newsletter. If you're about to build your very first website, the best advice I could give you, keep it simple. It's so much more important to get started than to wait for the perfect timing. So if you do want to get started, I recommend you visit squarespace.com today for a free trial. And then when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/MattDiavella to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. You can click the link in the description below to get started. Thanks so much for considering. And thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring. I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. This is really a guidebook to building personal wealth. It covers everything from earning, saving, and budgeting to investing and automating your finances. It doesn't give a prescriptive one-size-fits-all roadmap. Instead, Ramit's approach very much overlaps with my own minimalist philosophies. He urges us to spend extravagantly on the things that you love and cut costs mercilessly on the things you don't. Forget about what everyone on Instagram is saying you absolutely need to have. When it comes to how you spend your money, it's so important for you to figure out what you want. As Ramit says, you need to identify what a rich life looks like to you. And chances are it won't include flashy cars, multiple houses, and a walk-in wardrobe that's bigger than my house. The road to financial wealth isn't something that can happen by the end of your 20s, let alone by the time you read a 200-page book. And that's why I think everyone should commit to reading one personal finance book every single year. And if you haven't read one this year, let this one be it. Deep Work, Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World by Cal Newport. Deep Work is an essential read for ambitious creators looking to find more space for their meaningful work. As Cal puts it, the ability to perform deep work is becoming increasingly rare. At exactly the same time, it is becoming increasingly valuable in our economy. As a consequence, the few who cultivate this skill and then make it the core of their working life will thrive. When we can methodically learn to shut off distractions and wean ourselves off of our addiction to technology, we can find our most productive moments. Deep Work really helps you to integrate this thinking into your life by setting up your environment to be distraction-free and then also helping you to create rituals that support your creative work. So I put the lessons that I learned from this book right into practice with the first 2 courses that I ever made, and it really allowed me to free up my time and get more intentional about really making 2 of the most in-depth and time-consuming projects of my life. The results allowed me to make a bigger impact and also to have a better final product in the end. I'm not sure how I would have done this without the deliberate practice of deep work. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. This book is a favorite to so many, and for good reason. Published by Holocaust survivor and psychologist Viktor Frankl, it was inspired by his experience as a concentration camp prisoner during World War II. He noticed that in these awful circumstances, it wasn't necessarily the physically strongest who survived. Instead, it was the people who had the strongest purpose. And so those who were able to withstand extreme suffering had some other reason, some bigger purpose to live rather than just getting by. This led to Frankl's hypothesis that the search for meaning is the biggest driver of human beings and one that we can leverage to get through even the most difficult times. Victor writes, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms. To choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." It's an exploration of life, death, and everything in between, and in my opinion, it's a must read, and one that I keep coming back to over and over again. Before you go, do me one quick favor, head down into the comment section of this video and let me know one book that changed your life. As you know, one of the books I mentioned in this video came from your recommendation, so I was hoping I might be able to add on to my reading list, but I was also hoping we might be able to give some inspiration to other subscribers as well. And if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you click subscribe down below, turn on notifications to get future videos. That way you're not just waiting around for the algorithm to serve you one of my videos. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you next time.